Gentlemen, start your engines with engines roaring and tires ripping. Burning rubber on the blacktop dreams. Engines loud like American screams. Crowds on fire, hearts in gear. Every lap's a war zone, victory near. We're not just speed, we're soul and sweat. We're loyalty, lives that no one forgets. From dirt tracks to under the lights, we race for the love, for the thrill.
All right, enough of that as we come out of the third turn with all four wheels on the ground. Live in its living color, coming to us from Reading, Pennsylvania. The one, the only, James. Yeah, there you go. James, sorry, what's going on?
Hey, Randy.
Hey, let's have some fun. This is Distillery Channel Magic Radio Live, and we're going to be talking racing today because it was a big weekend, right, James? What's going on?
It was a very big weekend. Yeah, Labor Day weekend traditionally is one of the largest, biggest weekends in motorsports. NASCAR had their Southern 500, which is one of the oldest tracks, oldest races on the NASCAR schedule. It was also the beginning of the NASCAR playoffs. So now stuff's about to get real. You know, they've been racing 26 races to get 16 drivers qualified into playoffs, and now it's elimination time. So it's, you know, put up or go home time for the top 16 drivers. So yeah, off to an exciting start.
Well, I'm sure that all those drivers, you know, they drive cautiously and they let people, yield in and yield out, get, they're very nice to each other,
Absolutely. Absolutely, you know, they wave each other in and wave to one another. Thanks. You know, oh yeah, there's definitely a lot of consideration, a lot of safe driving. Yep.
A lot of modesty.
Absolutely.
I was really shocked that they have now a Starbucks drive-through. It must be that they get tired or something during the race and they can just
well, you know, every once in a while, especially on those longer races, you know, you need a little pick me up, little shot of caffeine to keep you concentrated and focused on the race. So
a little espresso.
That's right.
Wouldn't that be awesome? Just boom, oh my God, I got his fingers too. Geez, that's awful.
Right. Well, you know, you hand it to the guy during the pit stop. You know, you got a guy that just hands it over the wall while they're changing your tires or fueling your car up and you're ready to rock and roll. So.
Yeah, I was telling you, James, before the show, watching the race from the past weekend down in Darlington, the start of the race got off to a bumpy start, right?
A little bit. Yeah. They had a little incident right off the bat. So it looked like one of the guys got a little bit loose in turn 3 and spun it around. And, you know, they're racing such close quarters that when that happens, usually you're going to collect a few of your competitors along with it. So, yeah.
I mean, how many got knocked out of the race at that point in time?
I think knocked out, there was probably only 2, but there were more than that had damage to the car that they had to, fix right after and kind of address on each pit stop during the race. So created an extra challenge for some of those teams and pit crews.
Yeah, so it's going to be really fun. James has got LGO has had a long history in being in the world of racing. Mine has been a long, let's see, just picking up tickets. That's my whole racing world. But too many Corvettes and too many golf trips and too many, times as a kid during the 60s that, this whole, I was explaining to somebody today, is that it hasn't changed much. Cars just got prettier, they got bigger, they got faster, and compared to the love of the sport as it was way back when, it hasn't changed really.
True, that's true. Gotten a lot more expensive, a lot more sponsor logos on there, and technology's made some leaps and bounds. But the heart of it is the love of the sport and affinity for cars. So
yeah, I wanted to give some kudos to Brad Pitt and his movie F1. That came out. I don't know if you've gone to see that yet. To you it would be old school. Actually, if you're gonna go see it, take some earmuffs if you got sensitive ears, because it's like going to a track. Nice. And it's a very good movie. It's a popcorn movie. It's a Brad Pitt movie, but it's well worth seeing, and they did it really well. And,
yeah, I do want to check that out. To see it, I think you need to see it in surround sound, right? Because you really need to experience all the sights and sounds.
Yeah, we went right down to the center in the first night that it opened up. It was very, very good. Went out to our local racetrack, Sycamore Speedway, 2 weeks ago. And, this track has been around decades. 5,000 people come out on a Friday night, a dirt track that's in the middle of nowhere west of Chicago, about 70 miles. And, growing up and being part of Sycamore and, around here, I asked the people that own, I said, most people from Sycamore, and they go, nope, hardly any of them. come from far afield, to
Oh
get
yeah,
there.
yeah. Folks will definitely travel for a Friday or Saturday night short track race. Yeah, that's grassroots racing all over the country, man. That's how everybody gets started, and a lot of drivers have come
Yeah.
from that environment. That's how the fans first learn about the sport. I mean that's the roots of racing for sure.
Yeah, I wanted to explain to people too. We don't drink at the Distillery Channel. We just cover distillery events. It's a name that we were asked a long time ago by people in the world of distilling spirits if we do their PR, and then we got involved in all kinds of things, and we became partners with Magic Interactive Media, and so Magic Live, great company that has a program going out to the tracks. We'll talk about in a little bit
Mhm.
to make the fan experience even better today. But anyway, let's get right to it, James. What's going on this past weekend? Did any of those cars come over the finish line?
Yeah, I mean, Southern 500 was so it wasn't very competitive for a good portion of the race because Chase Briscoe, who was the eventual winner, wound up leading 309 of the 367 laps. So he dominated the race. But and on paper, that sounds a little more boring than it actually turned out to be. Because as the laps started winding down, probably it was in the last 35 laps, Tyler Reddick really got his car dialed in on the last pit stop. They made a couple adjustments, really picked up speed, and he was chasing down Chase throughout the last 20-25 laps of the race and really made it competitive and made it close. The eventual margin of victory was only like half a second. So Tyler was right there with him. And there were a couple times, going into a turn where Tyler would cut down low, try to get around him, and his car just wouldn't quite stick, and Chase would hold it out. So it really made for an exciting finish. If you wound up staying awake through the middle of the race where Briscoe was just dominating, you really saw an exciting finish.
Yeah, if you go to the NASCAR website, they actually have that up. It's I
They do,
watched, yeah, all the
yeah.
highlights, and you could just tell when he dropped down low, he thought in that last turn or two that he could catch Chase, and you could just see it was like a track star going, yeah, no, I'm not going to get him. It just
Yep, yep. He was almost there, and it just
yeah.
wouldn't quite stick, wouldn't quite make the pass. But he gave it everything he had. He certainly can't be blamed for not trying. So,
So
but
do you know enough about driving when they're in that situation? Is their foot all the way down and pushing through the floorboard? I mean, how does that work? I mean, they still got to measure their
it
finish,
It depends on the track because the way that those cars are and the way the tires are designed and everything is that you're not running full throttle around there the whole time. That would take the skill away from it, basically, right? So in tracks, the bigger tracks like a Daytona or a Talladega, you're pretty much foot through the floorboard all the way around because they're high banks in the turns. The cars are sticking as they go around. It's more of a handling track. But in places like Darlington and especially Darlington, where the pavement is old, the track is flatter. There's not quite the banking in the turns. If you go into a turn full throttle, you're just going to slide up into the wall. So there's a lot of skill involved as far as feathering the throttle, using a little bit of brake, so you want to get in there as hard as you can. But if you get in there too hard, it's not going to end well. You're going to either wind up, sliding up into your competitor or just putting it in the wall. So there is a lot of nuance to getting through those corners and making a good lap time. If you go through too fast, then it's going to slow you down. But if you're not in there fast enough, then that's going to slow you down. So you got to find that happy medium where your car is going to roll through the corners well, but not, like if you're driving on the road, you go around a corner too fast, you can kind of feel that wheel hop and you'll feel your tires kind of bounce around the corner. Well, the same thing happens in a race, except to a higher degree, right? Because they're like going a lot faster. So something like that is going to slow down your lap time. So you want to get just to the edge of having that happening, but not cross that line. So yeah,
so
there's a whole lot involved with that.
yeah, so I had leading up to the show, I asked people if they had any questions for you. One of the questions was sort of pertains to this. Are the outside tires bigger than the inside tires on a car, or they all have to be the same size?
No, they're all the same diameter.
Have to be the same diameter. So
Mhm.
they don't have that in. Okay, well that's interesting. How often do they change tires? Change them frequently during a race?
Depends. Darlington again is because the track is old and I mean, it's like driving on gravel. and it wears the tires out very, very quickly. So for a 367 lap, 500-mile race, each team is allotted 14 sets of tires.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they'll change tires every chance that they get. When they go out, that first lap in practice or in a race is always significantly faster than even the second or third lap because those tires wear out so quickly. Matter of fact, what some of the teams do, because the pavement is so abrasive, is they'll put old tires on the car just when they're wheeling it from the garage out to the starting grid,
Wow.
and then put the brand new tires on once it's gridded up, because they'll actually wear out a little bit rolling it across the pavement just from the garage area to the starting line. So
That's amazing.
it's crazy. Yeah. There's so many different things involved in trying to get the biggest performance advantage. It's
Now you
amazing.
know why there's a lot of logos on those cars. I mean, they
Yeah. Well, those tire bills are expensive. I mean, Goodyear isn't giving those things away for free, so
no. Well,
those teams are paying for those. So just the tire bill for the weekend at Darlington is,
do they all use Goodyear tires?
They do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Goodyear's the official sponsor of
Where does
tires.
Firestone fit in these days in
They're in IndyCar.
IndyCar?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, novice questions that keep floating through, as we got a ton of them coming through today. So
Okay.
so one individual wants to know how the playoffs work. Tell us how that goes.
So in NASCAR, first 26 races of the 36 race season are to qualify for the playoffs, let's say, right? You accumulate the most points you can. After 26 races, the top 16 drivers are in the playoffs. So the final 10 races are broken down into segments of 3 races, 3, and then the championship race. Every third race, 4 drivers are eliminated. So that's when it's time to, really get down, get to business. And during the course of those 3 races, man, you have one bad race that's going to put you behind. It could knock you right out of the playoffs. So, from where we are now after Darlington, there's 2 more races left in this segment, which is going to be a Gateway in St. Louis and then Bristol in Tennessee, which is also a very exciting track, short track, half mile, a lot of bumping and banging. So that's going to be that's similar to, your Friday night short track type of race where the cars are in a small track, getting after it, and a lot of contact.
How many cars do they get on a track that small? I mean,
Typically it'll start 36
on a half-mile track.
Yeah.
Good
So you can
Lord.
see they run out of room quick.
Wow.
So,
How
but
often, how often is your experience? Does anybody in the back have a chance of working their way?
yeah, there's creative ways to do it. Pit strategy, come in and take 2 tires, or pit off cycle. Typically you run out of gas, say, I don't know, let's just say it's 50 laps, right? So you'll get everybody coming into the pits at the same time. Well, if you want to do something creative or different, you're going to pit 30 laps in and get gas and tires, and hopefully catch a caution flag that's going to, put you towards the front. So there are some creative ways to try to get track position, or just, flat out performance. Sometimes guys will just get the car dialed in and they'll go to the front and wind up with a good finish. So
basically so is it a point system then where you finish in these races?
it is a point system. Mm-hmm.
There's no benefit for being a lap leader or anything like that.
Well, races are divided up into 3 stages. So typically it'll be like the quarterway, the halfway, and then the last half a lap. And they're awarded points for where they finish in each of those stages.
All right. Well,
like the top 10. So it'll be like 10-1 for the top 10. So those points also accumulate towards your point total as well. So yeah, it's great to win the race, obviously, but you want to have respectful finishes in each stage too. So it benefits you to try to run towards the front for the entire race, as opposed to, maybe hang out in the middle of the pack and then really go for it that last half of the race. So
do they, is there after race adjustments based upon maybe possible things that happened that track officials didn't like during the race, or somebody?
Well, there can be, yeah. I mean, a lot of the cars have to go through inspection again, or they all go through inspection again after the race. And if there's a violation, the ride height, height that the car's off the ground with the suspension stuff. It has to be a certain height.
Yeah.
If it's off, then they can be penalized. It doesn't happen often. Matter of fact, that the one example that really hindered and helped someone last year was after one of the races that decided the third segment of the season. Joey Logano was out on points. Alex Bowman would have been the number 8 car going into the next round of the playoffs. They found a penalty, an unapproved adjustment on his car after the race, which disqualified him from the playoffs. Joey Logano was put back into the playoffs, and then his team got hot and went on to win the championship. So from being on the outside looking in at the end of the race to an hour later being back in the playoffs to the end of the year being the champion was an absolute 180-degree turn for that team.
How fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Well, that's
Yeah.
awesome. So where does it stand now? How did it end up after this weekend?
Well, Chase Briscoe's obviously the point leader because he won the race, so he's doing well. Now towards the back, you got for that bubble spot, Joey, defending champion, didn't have a great race, so he's 3 points out with 2 more races left in this segment. So he's -3. Austin Dillon is -8, and Alex Bowman is -19. Now 2 more races to make that up. All good teams, they have the ability to, go out and win a race and get back into the top 12 that'll move on to the next round. Right now, Christopher Bell, who didn't have a great race, he got caught up in that first accident, which damaged his car, put him a couple laps down. So he didn't have a great finish, but he's still 11 points into that top 12 to move along, as is Chase Elliott at +9. And the dark horse, if you will, Shane Van Gisbergen is +3. Now, Shane is from Australia or New Zealand, I believe. He competed in the Australian Supercar Series, which he was champion there multiple times, won a whole bunch of races. And they compete exclusively on road courses. So now here in NASCAR, that's his specialty. He's actually won 5 road course races within the last 2 years, which qualified him for the playoffs. But, a lot of folks discount him because he's only a road course specialist. He's still learning how to get around the oval tracks. He's doing pretty good. Kind of coming into NASCAR later in his career. He's 36 years old when a lot of these guys are starting at 18, 19, 20. Yeah. But he's developing really well. I think it would kind of be neat. I mean, it would be, an act of God for him to win the championship. But for him to finish in the top 4 or the top 8 would be unbelievable.
So and a kid that's 18 years old, how did they get their stature? Just from the dirt tracks? And how's that path? What does that path look like?
It depends. A lot of them start off on the short tracks.
When you have a young kid, you just mentioned, a 36-year-old fighting against an 18-year-old, coming into the world of racing. How does that 18-year-old get that stature at 18 to be driving NASCAR?
A couple different ways. He'll start off in his local short track, go out. A lot of times these kids are racing at 15, 16 years old on some of these local tracks. And for them to do really well, and you'll see a 16-year-old kid that's beating up on the 20-something, 30-something-year-old guys and dominating that track, that'll catch the attention of a race team that might be a few levels up and give that guy a chance. Conversely,
now does that kid have to promote himself, or is there enough news in the world of racing that
it's a little bit of both?
Yeah.
There's enough news that the good drivers will attract the publicity from publications and internet sites, et cetera, their results. But, how many short tracks are there in the country, right? Just with the ones that we've been working with, there's hundreds of them, right?
Yeah.
And each one, we have a couple different 3 drivers that are really good. So there's a lot of competition amongst the drivers out there. So they're certainly going to want to start promoting themselves and, sending highlights to race teams, or reach out to the marketing department of these teams, or the driver development department in some cases, and try to get themselves noticed.
Well, Danica Patrick grew up in our area,
Right.
and that track is no longer in business.
Oh
It's out of
no.
business. Yeah.
Wow.
And then she went on to do more like IndyCar, I think. I don't think she did a
She
lot of
did.
NASCAR.
Yeah, she got her start in IndyCar. She won a race over there. Performed well in Indy 500 a few times. I mean, she
Yeah.
was pretty good. Then they moved her over to NASCAR to take advantage. Her sponsor was GoDaddy,
Yeah.
and they were interested in moving her over into NASCAR. Um, she's actually a really good example of somebody who went in a little too fast. GoDaddy with all the money, and unfortunately, this tends to happen, right? The company paying the bills gets to dictate how it works. They wanted her in the Cup Series right away. But, the most exposure, the biggest series, etc. Where she really would have benefited from a year or two in one of the lower series. Obviously driving an Indy car, driving a stock car are two different animals, right? There's
Right.
a lot of different things to know. So she would have benefited from some experience in a lower series before moving up to the Cup Series. But the company paying the bills kind of dictated her path, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
she had a couple of moments in NASCAR, but never really, I want to say, lived up to her potential, because I think with a
Well,
little more experience, she
she
could have been better.
came to GoDaddy at a real interesting time with GoDaddy commercials that they were doing. It was fast growth,
Yeah.
crash hit, Super Bowl commercial that never ceases to amaze people if
Right.
you don't remember that. But anyway, just want to remind people this is the Distillery Channel and this is Magic Radio Live, talking racing today with James Algeo, and we're going to be now, in that world of NASCAR. So the last race has how many cars in it then?
Um, Darlington, I think, started 36, but I don't remember. It's usually somewhere between 35 and 38, depending upon.
Championship race. How many cars will be in the championship
Oh,
race?
so all right. So when it gets to the championship race, I mean, obviously everybody races, but there will be four guys that are competing for the championship.
Gotcha. So they have
So,
a full field, but just four guys
oh
competing.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So that
That's interesting.
it is interesting. It's different than other sports, right? Because in the Super Bowl, there's two teams playing for the Super Bowl. There's not 30 other teams that are playing
Right.
as well. But in NASCAR, you got four guys that are fighting for the championship, but you got 32-ish other cars that would like to win the race as well, and they're competing against one another. So it kind of adds a whole
So are
different.
there two payouts then at the end of that race? One for you could have somebody that doesn't win the race, but wins the championship,
Mhm.
and then the person who wins the race. So do they give two checks?
Oh
Two.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
Sort of like the way the world of golf was a couple of years ago.
Right.
And year-ending deal. You got all confusing, but
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, it
Well,
is
you
cool.
just don't want to piss off anybody that's trying to knock you out of that,
Well, exactly right. If there's you want to make sure you're not, somebody's, and in racing, drivers have long memories. So,
Yeah,
if you wreck somebody 10 races ago, they're going to remember that, and they're going to wait for their moment, and you may wind up
yeah,
finding yourself spun
yeah.
around. So,
No lunch buddy coming.
no, no.
That has got to be frightening on every level. I mean, seriously, you got one guy there, two guys or three guys, and you're a hot-headed driver, and they're out there for retribution and payback, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, it just might have happened. You just don't know.
Whoops.
Yeah. So what's up next, James? Where are we going to in the world?
Let's see. Well, in the world of NHRA drag racing, this weekend was the U.S. Nationals, which is the Super Bowl of drag racing, basically. Held at Indianapolis Raceway Park. They've been doing it for, oh gee, I don't even remember which one it was, but it's 40 something years they've been having that race Labor Day weekend. So, three professional categories in the NHRA. There's Top Fuel, the big long dragsters, Funny Car, and then Pro Stock. Top Fuel and Funny Car are both supercharged engines on nitromethane that make about 11,000 horsepower, which is an ungodly amount of horsepower.
Yeah.
Pro Stock is normally aspirated on gas in a full-size body car. So
Yeah. Right.
Top Fuel winner was Justin Ashley, and he defeated Tony Stewart. Now, if that name sounds familiar, Tony is a former NASCAR champion. He's also a former IndyCar champion. So you may wonder, why is he driving a Top Fuel dragster? Well, retired from NASCAR a few years back, was a team owner, They've since sold that team. He got married to Leah Pruitt, who was an NHRA top fuel driver. Got married, they started a family. So she obviously couldn't drive a top fuel dragster being pregnant. So Tony, who's a jack of all trades, literally he's driven everything from sprint cars to Indy to NASCAR and everything, decided he was going to hop in the car for a year while, you know, she was doing the mom thing. And has been, like in everything else he's gotten into, has been successful. So he's already won several races. You know, he was in the final of the U.S. Nationals, which would have been a great victory for him. But Justin Ashley actually won on what's called a hole shot. So Tony ran a little quicker, but Justin left the line quicker. So with drag racing, you know, they have what's called the Christmas tree. It's lights.
Right. Yeah.
Right. The light comes on, it flashes, and then they take off. So Justin's reaction time was just a little bit faster than Tony, but Tony's car ran just a little bit faster. So he ran faster, but still lost the race, which drivers tend to kind of give each other a little ribbing about stuff like that when but he was right there. I mean, it was a pretty exciting race. In funny car, Austin Prock beat Jack Beckman. And then in pro stock, Erica Enders beat Mike Hartford. Now, Erica's also a past multi-time pro stock champion. So this U.S. Nationals victory was actually her 50th win in pro stock.
Wow.
So she's excellent, obviously, at her craft. Has won a lot of races and a handful of championships.
Yeah, that is very cool. I want to change now what we're doing because we got a few minutes left. We've been working in the world of when you have all this money that's needed by the people that are running cars. I would assume that floats all the way down to your local dirt tracks, right? I mean,
well, sure, yeah. I mean, that's, you know, one of the other points I was going to make when we were talking about the young kids was that oftentimes is their path to NASCAR is having either a company or coming from a wealthy family that's going to write a check. You know, there's been instances where people have purchased rides because of the amount of money that they can bring to the race team. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes the drivers aren't so good, but they get that opportunity because they have that big check in hand.
well, and a little bit of self-promotion here. One of the things we've been doing working with Magic on what they call their affinity program is trying to set up programs for tracks and drivers so that they can acquire fans and get a little bit of that support and love and tell their story. And, you know, what has been your impression of that and how that would fit into a kid that's trying to make his way to the tour?
I think that's a great way to get exposure. I mean, it's going to generate some revenue for the team, right? And, you know, unfortunately, a race team is a bottomless money pit. You can never have enough money or too much money to a race team. So, yeah, I think it's a great program. I mean, I think not only for tracks to generate additional revenue, for drivers to generate revenue for the team to help pay the bills. I mean, it to attract fans, not only to a particular driver, but even to the sport in general, you know, taking that affinity program out into the community by getting local companies involved at the local short tracks and exposing that to more of the local residents that may either not have been out to the track or had an interest and, you know, never quite made it out. I think it's a great way to generate new fans as well.
Yeah, it was one of the things when I was looking at it, it's like in our distillery channel, we have in one of our worlds of helping people that started during COVID is that we started a program called Craft Beverage and Culinary Tours. And these are craft beverage diners, breweries, distilleries, wineries, locations that people can go out and use. 4,200 of them spread out through the United States.
Wow.
And on that affinity program, I'm trying to set up a program that if a track, you know, what they should do is get in touch with Magic, get in touch with yourself, get in touch with James. We'll have his information across the screen here, you know, throughout the show, but just email James and he can get you hooked up because this is really for a community. The Magic app, what it does drive that solidarity in a community. And you know, you're helping a kid, you know, you're having family fun. When I was out at the track, I talked to concessionaires, I talked to the ticketing people. Magic also has an easy way for a track to set up ticketing, whether they want to do it online or do it through their app. But what they call the Magic app can put on the track's website. It can put on weather alerts. It can put on how to get there. It can put on interviews, race highlights from last weekend. It can, it has so much adaptability. It's all if the track wants to have that program for themselves, they can do that. But they also can sell these cards that they can actually give to their fans for all that update for the track. And in the same standpoint, set it up for the drivers. And so it's the people that come to the track can save money in the community. They can get invited out, into the community and have discounts, local businesses that we're trying to get set up. I just think it's a fantastic program. I really do. It's something in track where when I sat and talked to people, I just talking, I was just, trying to wrap my head around the experience, and took my wife out. We had a great time. It was a beautiful night. And golly, they spend a lot of money, but they're passionate about drivers. And I was like, well, how did you get hooked up with that driver? And how, tell me, why you're here. And they all have this interrelated family story, friendly, they're wearing t-shirts and blue jeans, drinking beer, eating kind of food everybody loves to eat, particularly in the Midwest, probably too much, but too good, at the same time. But I hope you're excited about it. I know you are excited about it.
Yeah, it's a great program. I mean, as it starts to catch on and a lot of tracks start talking to fellow tracks about it, it's just going to snowball and really become a popular program. I know.
Yeah. Well, you can go to magic.com, and it's spelled MAJIIK.com. It's a big website. Yeah, you can go there and you can watch movies and, television programs. You can hook up stuff that looks like Facebook, and you can talk to your friends. It's got just so much information on it. About 3 to 5 million followers. I mean, it's a big website, getting bigger. And we hope to have you follow us on the Distillery Channel Magic Radio Live every week, because these are a lot of fun, James. Anything else you want to add that I missed today?
No, I mean, I think we took a pretty deep dive into what was going on in the world of at least NASCAR and NHRA over the weekend. I mean, it's getting to be a more exciting time of year in racing. Everybody's season's starting to come to an end, and everybody's battling for championships. So I think, for the next couple of months, there's going to be some really cool, exciting stuff going on.
It's funny. Daytona ain't that far away.
No, February. I mean, you're still hashing out one season. The next one's going to be here before you know it.
Yeah, it's the way the world of golf is. Golfing. They say, oh, last round of the year championship was last week in the world of golf. They took a week off and they go, well, let's start again. They're now into 2026. Wow. That starts next week, and then you got the Ryder Cup. But the world of golf, it's over. It's all over. No, but wait, we got Tigers tournament in December, and then we got this and that. And then all of a sudden it's January 6th, and the new year is here. But that Daytona race, that pops up on you. I mean, and you're in the north and you're in snow, you don't think that they're going to be racing at Daytona around February 3rd, somewhere in there.
Yep.
So
exactly.
Well, all good and exciting. We really appreciate all your kind words and helping me learn, and other people. And by the way, if you do want to find out more, please send questions to James, to myself.
Sure.
And try to answer those week to week. And
absolutely.
And those that have the best answer, we're going to give out a hat.
Nice.
Best question every week. So
there you go.
Everybody's got to have a big, beautiful 20-year-old hat like I do. So anyway, for James LJO out in Reading, Pennsylvania, and all Uncle Randy sitting here in the Midwest, this is the Distillery Channel, and it's Magic Radio Live, brought to you by Distillery Channel Media. We'll talk to you next week, James. Head out there and don't hit that third rail. So,
that's good, man. Looking forward to it.
All right, talk to you later. Bye-bye.